I guess I'll do a roughing out video. This is my new little setup here. I've been doing some tweaking in the shop. Got this idea. Little shower curtain. Little shower curtain. Keep the mess centralized anyway. So yeah, I think I'm gonna do a little rough out video. As always, this is not how to do it. This is just how I do it. I don't know. First of all, after you find center, I'm going to kind of preset this so that way once I mount it, it already has the indentation to go into. And that kind of, there's 4 prongs, so I'll kind of do it in all 4 angles. Basically digging those teeth in real nice. Alright, so now we got it on there, not very securely or anything, and certainly not in balance either. You can see that. But kind of what you want to do here is start thinking about what kind of balance you want. I think in this case I have some piffs in here. This was the bottom of a crotch piece, but you can still see the piffs where the 2 branches went out. Got one right there, barely still in there. When I do my chainsaw work, I think of all this stuff as I'm cutting the log. Really, like, what am I going to end up with for a blank? Little bark inclusion right there. Hopefully that's not a big deal. Right here, there's another small branch, and we got some figure in there. Pretty excited about this piece. So anyway, I think as far as balance goes, I'm gonna balance what would be the top because of this bark right here. I'm gonna make this the bottom. I'm gonna make this the top. So I want the top to be sort of my focus here. So we'll do this right here. It's gonna be ugly at first. Pretty flat there. I'm just gonna rock with that for now. I'm gonna tighten this down really good. Tighten that right there. I think on this one, I'm gonna start off right like this. See what kind of, oh, we're hitting. Like that, literally that nub right there. Let's see what kind of speed I can get. A little sketchy, always at first, you know. Yeah, 328 right there. Also, guys, see this lathe? I have to reach over here for the controls, but I did put you know, emergency shut off right there, out of the way in case things got a little cray over here. Alright, so we get into it. 328 facial on. See where we're at. So I got up to like 360 RPMs. Seeing some almost burl action here. All kinds of, I don't know, is that compression? All kinds of figure in here either way. Man, that looks nice right there. Starting to get a little color. Keep working my way up the side here, get a bowl shape out of this thing. And again, right here, you notice I'm experimenting with different types of cuts, and I'll break out the round scraper here in a minute too. These are not finished cuts. This is soaking wet wood, literally spraying me and my lathe with water. And so these things are going to dry for a couple of months before I do any kind of finishing. So I use carbide. Gets the job done real fast for me. I mean, it works for me. And then after these things are dried, I'm gonna hand sand them and finish them somehow, you know. So this is what I'm doing for now. Matter of fact, guys, I think I might have said this before, but I have my belt in here. I have the tension in a way that will allow it to slip, opposed to, you know, breaking something. I do that on purpose for sure. I don't want. I mean, this stuff can be a little dangerous, so you just gotta. I'd rather it slip. Up over 400 RPMs right now. Basically what that means is it's getting in balance, and I'm literally getting sprayed with water. But the more you make it round, the more centrifugal forces are under control, and the faster you can speed it up, the better the cutting. Ready for it. What up, Clipso? Hey, baby girl. Look. Hey, baby girl. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in, baby. She's a little camera shy. All right, I'm back. Had to love on the hoochie for a minute there. All right, let's see what we can get this thing looking like. Alright, I wanted to explain something. When you're turning, you know, I have a grip on this thing. Let me show you what this looks like. So I'm gripping this thing, right? Like you'd have a hard time pulling this out of my hands. I have a grip on it, and I'm pushing down, stabilizing. I'm like, I got my weight pushing down on this thing. I introduce the cutting head into the wood slowly with intention. As if that is going to try to take this tool away from me, because it will. So I have this thing gripped for maximum leverage, like way back here, shoved into my hip. I'm exaggerating here, but I'm shoved into my hip right here. I'm like, my feet, the point of contact here, you know, I'm ready for battle. Because if you ever got a bad catch, which I have, with a 25, 30 pound thing swinging around, you gotta be prepared. So it looks like I'm pushing into the wood with like all my might. I'm not. I'm gripping this and I'm pushing down with almost all my might, you know. back up in here. So lots of tear out. I mean, look how wet this wood. This stuff is so wet. So on this piece, bro, look at all that. That's insane. Hold on. Oh, I hope you guys are seeing that. That's crazy. That's cool stuff going on right here. Flame. It's like flames going in there. Some more, I guess, compression rings there. I like bark inclusions. You know, after this thing dries, that might just crack all the pieces. So I'll probably put some thin CA glue down in here after maybe one day, possibly. Definitely want to preserve all of this. So anyway, this bowl will sit around and dry for like a couple of months or so before I do any kind of finishing. So I don't want to leave it too stupid, but like I'm not too worried about, you know, some tear out. I am worried about this though. Alright, so that's good. The pith was probably right over here, right? These rings, the center was somewhere, matter of fact, yeah, I don't know, I think the center was somewhere back in here. Got like a 3D MRI style image of the bowl, but this pith right here got to stick out. That right there, you never leave that in your rims. So I'm gonna take it back to probably that growth ring right there. I'm gonna lose another ½ inch, but I gotta do it. Yeah, she going. So what I'm gonna do now, I mean, this is already pretty darn flat, to be honest. But I'm gonna go ahead and flatten this off. Start establishing a tenon, a foot / tenon. When doing a twice turn bowls like this, you know, I'm going to turn it now. I'm going to set it aside for a couple months to dry. You got to kind of think about how you're going to do your tenon, because it's going to warp and so forth on you. See how close my tool gets in here? Next time y'all watch these videos, notice these lines on everybody's live center. Wonder where that came from. But I'm not the only one. I promise you that. Alright, so now I'm going to do something, I don't know if it's unorthodox or not. It's where it works for me. That's what I know. So for this chuck, I'm going to be using, I do about 3/4 the width, the thickness of my tenon. I want about over half anyway, but only like 3/4 of the width of this cutter head. So, you know, a quick little reference, you don't have to stop and measure and all that stuff. Just going to put a little bit of a dovetail on it now. In fact, get you guys around for that.
Round two.
So I'm bringing the tailstock up. Check this out. So right in the middle where this drive spur was right in the middle. My live center lines up beautifully. So now before I tighten the chuck all the way down, I'm going to drive this sucker in there. Sometimes I do this when the lathe's running, but you didn't see that. So I have plenty of a gap between the tenon and the bottom of my jaws. I call that a little over 1/8 of an inch right there, because you do not want the tenon bottoming out on your jaws. It would not run true at all. And then you see there's a pretty large gap between my jaws here. You know, I had to redo the tenon because I made it too big, but I wanted it big because normally you don't want that gap big because it'll leave a mark. You know, these will dig into the tenon, which I'm going to remove anyhow. But either way, when this thing dries, we're going to get some shrinkage. Particularly right here, this being in grain, you can see the rings. So the center of the tree was like here, the pith. So anywhere you see these rings, it is going to shrink. It's going to shrink a dink. And then this, I mean, there's just, this thing's going to move a lot. There's like so much going on. Shrinky. So either way, once you twice turn, you know, once you let this thing dry that and go to remount it, the tenon's going to be warped, so I have to re-trim the tenon, reconfigure it or whatever before I put it on the chuck again. get this guy hollowed out. And also the dovetail in there, you can see it compressing this wet wood, digging in. So you can actually do a finished tenon and do this in a way that it doesn't leave any marks, but I'm not concerned about that. And you don't want to over tighten either, because I have strong hands apparently. I've ripped tenons right off by over tightening. Alright. We're gonna start a Dig Fest 2026 right here, baby. By the way, I am going to turn this thin. You know, there's different ways of doing this. You can leave 10% of the width and let it dry like that. I'm going to turn this one thin and let it dry. It's going to warp and all that, which I'm cool with that. I'm okay with this one warping and stuff. I love these big long ribbon shavings, but they sure do make a mess. Alright, so like I said, I'm going to turn this out. I'm going to turn it thin and then have to do a bunch of hand sanding when it does dry, but it'll dry faster. So I'm going to start off. I mean, we're under a ½ inch. Just going to try to keep it even all the way down. By turning it thin, I have to keep these wall thicknesses even as I go, because it'll dry. It'll literally dry. It's flinging water out right now on my hand, but it'll dry before I'm finished turning. It'll start drying, and if I don't keep these wall thicknesses thin as I go, the walls will actually flex back and forth, and I'll never be able to get a decent cut. It'll go tap, 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 tap. So I'm just going to do that ½ inch or less thickness all the way down as I go, leaving a lot of bulk in the middle. Whoa. getting close enough to where I don't want to mess around too much on the bottom. So I might get rid of this tailstock here in just a moment. Again, that's the position I'm in. Like I'm ready for a fight. Like I'm ready for a fight, you know what I'm saying? Because it's going to happen. Especially with this wet wood. You're going to check up. That's what I'm going to do. Definitely got to get thinner at the bottom. So thank you again to my wife for this shower curtain idea. Working out perfect. Very nice.